Okay, so today is pretty much a vocabulary lesson. There's really nothing with numbers. There's not really like math as you're used to it to do. But some of what this book does is introduce you to some geometry words to just lay a foundation for some future stuff. So I would suggest you write this stuff down. The next 3-4 days we'll take a series of quizzes on these just to see if we can absorb these words. But the first topic we're going to talk about is polygons. Does anybody either know what a polygon is or have an example of a type of polygon? We're going to jot down in our notes and have some quizzes on 5 types of polygons.
The square.
A square is a type of another type of polygon. So that word won't appear today, but that's like a group within a group.
Trapezoid?
Trapezoid is in that same group.
Quadrilateral?
Quadrilateral is the group those belong to. So QUAD is quad, RIL, ril, at, hole. Quadrilaterals are anything that have how many sides? 4. Quad is a pretty common 4 prefix. Can anybody think of another word that starts with quad that means 4?
Square.
Something that starts with quad that means 4. So
Oh.
I think like quadrillion is like.
okay, in our numbers, yeah, we had like a bi for billion, a tri for trillion, a quad for quadrillion. That was like a count up sort of prefix with quad in it. Yep. Anybody know any other words? Not just from math class, but just from the universe of words. Anything that starts with quad?
Is there something like a quad wheeler or something?
Yeah, like people like a
Yeah, like a quad that has 4
like a
wheels.
4-wheel vehicle you'd ride out in the woods somewhere. That can be called a quad because it has 4 wheels.
One I thought of didn't actually start
You're
with
from my
quad,
little
and it
pony
is quad.
Okay, think babies.
Quadruplets?
Yeah, quadruplets. Yeah, you know, there's twins, there's triplets. Quadruplets is 4. You might not know this word, but old people sometimes, or people that have trouble walking, I guess it's not exclusively old people, will have a cane called a quad cane.
Oh, I know
Oh,
what
yeah.
Did
that
you
is.
see a quad cane? What's that have on it?
It's 4 like
It has like
bars.
4 bars at the bottom. Sometimes they'll put like tennis balls or something on them just so they don't scuff up their wood floors or whatever. But yeah, anyway, quad means 4. So quadrilateral is anything that has 4 sides. Some other day we'll categorize different types of quadrilaterals. A square is in that club. Trapezoid, somebody said, is in that club. Rectangle's in that club. There's lots of stuff in that club. So that'll open a door. Some other day there'll be 6 different quadrilaterals in that quadrilateral club, but not today. Today, just anything with 4 sides is a quadrilateral, whether it has a special name or does not. That is a type of polygon. Anybody else another type of polygon, or can you explain what in the world a polygon is?
Pentagon?
There is a pentagon. It's P-E-N-T-A-G-O-N. The most famous pentagon,
The American Pentagon.
yeah, in Washington, D.C. It's like military type building that was part of the 9/11 attacks and all of that. But pentagon, how many sides does a pentagon have?
5.
It is 5. Pent is a pretty common 5 prefix. Anybody know another one, or can you explain what in the world polygons all have in common?
Hexagon.
There is a hexagon, H-E-X-A-G-O-N. Hex is a pretty common prefix that means 6. Does anybody know of a hex that means 6 anywhere in the like regular everyday world? Every day of my life, when I close the building down, I check the gym doors and sometimes have to use this key called a hex key. There's like a little thing in the gym doors that locks them with this hex key. It's a 6-sided key. There's also a lot of like hex nuts if you're into fixing stuff with mom or dad. You know, hardware stores and stuff. You know, there's a lot of hex nuts, like they have 6 sides to them. Hex is 6. There's a lot of hex stuff. Anybody either explain what this is or have another one?
Octagon.
There's an octagon, OCT, and you'll notice other than the first one, a lot of these end with an AGON, which helps your spelling out a little bit. Octagon is 8. Other oct kind of 8 things?
Octopus.
Octopus, 8 legs. Octuplets would be 8 babies. Although that doesn't happen a lot, but it makes the news. It's usually somebody who took a lot of fertility drugs and then ended up with a whole bunch of babies. There's somebody that was nicknamed Octomom at one point because she had 8 babies, and it was like a whole thing.
That sounds like such a quirky
Whole thing that
name.
made the news. There's another show, but I don't think it was octuplets, but it was like John and Kate plus 8. I think they had 8 total kids. I think they had like triplets and then a group of 5. Anyway, we're off subject there. The most famous one is not up there yet. The one that you know the best for sure.
Square?
No, square would go in that club because it is full size.
Said that.
You learn this shape when you're probably before even preschool.
Triangle.
Triangle. So
What?
TRI, angle, I think we all know has
Tweet.
3. What are some other words that start with that are 3s?
Trillion.
Trillions in our number counting. Triplets for 3 babies.
Tricycle.
Tricycle, 3 wheels.
Trinity.
Trinity.
Triceratops.
That, I don't know if that has anything to do with 3.
Has 3 horns.
Does it?
Yeah, it has 3
Okay.
horns.
We're presently using one for this camera.
Tripod.
A tripod. So the tris are 3s. Okay.
Trio.
Can anybody now explain what in the world a polygon is? It is a shape with,
Certain amount of size.
yeah, what's true about all the sides?
You're all straight.
They're all straight. It's just the shape with straight sides.
What's the shape?
I'd say 3 or more. So if you have a shape with 3 or more straight sides, you have yourself a polygon. Some of them have names. Some of them probably have names that I don't know. Could a polygon have 7 sides?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Could. I'm not sure the name of that. I would guess it's a septagon. S-E-P-T-agon if I had to guess, because that's like a prefix for 7. But I'm not actually certain of that. But we ran into that earlier in the year too with like September, October, November count, sept, oct, those go together. If I were going to guess, 9 sides, could a polygon have 9 sides? It could. I might guess like either a nonagon or a novagon by like the September, October, November sequencing. But nov and non are sometimes 9 words, but I'm not actually sure about that. I'm positive 10 has a title that I know. It doesn't make the book, so it doesn't make the quiz. Anybody guess? Willing to guess 10? It is
Decagon.
a decagon. Like decades and decameters and some of those things that we've learned. But yeah, 10 sides, 100% guaranteed a decagon. There's probably a bunch of them with names, just no one knows them. If you find this fascinating, go to Google later and be like, list of all the polygons. I'm sure there's a name for like a 17-sided polygon. And if there
36
isn't, maybe you could invent one. You could be like an Eliagon. Because that's where Google came from. If you remember when we did that list of numbers, like there was a guy whose name was Google, and he just like named a number after himself because it hadn't been named yet, so he just jumped on that. But there's 5 of our 12 points of the day. So the way this quiz will appear tomorrow, I'll spell you the word because that's the harder way for me to do it, the easier way for you to do it. I'll spell you the word and you just tell me the 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. However, 2 days from now, what would you anticipate I would do?
Will you have to do the whole thing?
No, I wouldn't do that on day 2. I'll do that on day 3.
Write the letter.
I'll just switch
the
it.
number and.
Yep. So tomorrow, this is what you'd say. 2 days away, that's what I'd say. 3 days away, you just say everything. But that's how that'll evolve in the next couple days. Question about that. Then we're going to go some other geometry stuff. So there's a group of 3 that what I'm going to do is tomorrow give you a word and have you draw it. And there are 3 pretty simple drawings. Anybody have any idea what I might be talking about? There's presently one drawn in this room that everyone can see. But I'll give you a word, you'll give me a somewhat simple drawing.
Circle.
It won't be that, but that's a decent guess.
Square.
No, because we're done with anything with straight sides.
There's scaling is on?
No, we'll get into scalene someday, but that's not it. It's above me, one of them.
What's it called?
What is square? It's a Barbie.
It is above me right now.
Air.
It's pretty big. It uses up about 10 pieces of paper.
Oh, number line is on.
Yeah.
No, number line are gone. Number line are
Too
gone.
greedy. I'm just going to say line. Okay, so tomorrow I'll say line, and you would draw me a drawing of that. So if you're going to draw me a line, that would be wrong.
Oh,
We'll
We gotta
make
do the
it
arrows.
Arrows. How many arrows?
2.
2. What does that mean?
It's a number line.
It goes on forever.
It goes on forever.
negative number. It goes on forever for the positive numbers and negative.
It goes on forever in 2 directions. I can't really think of anything in the real world other than the number line that would be a really very good example of a line. Just that it's hard to think of something that goes forever in 2 directions other than like a number line or a timeline, I guess. There's 2 other things that are similar in that, but with a mild difference each one. You know, another.
One is circle.
No, circle's not going to make our cut.
Perpendicular.
Perpendicular is coming. That's going to be this other group where we start to get multiple lines involved. We will do perpendicular in a second, so I'll throw that one up there, but I wasn't hunting that one yet. There's something that's similar but different to a line.
Horizontal line.
That would still be a line. Anybody think of something that's similar to a line but not quite the same?
Whale. Rectangle.
If I go like this means it goes on forever
One way.
in one direction, but at the other way,
It's
Star.
just that.
it has a start or a stop.
It's
Does anybody know the name of that kind of a figure? It's a short word.
what letter does it start with?
Starts with an R.
Start and fart.
What the?
Rat-a-tat-a.
Only 3 letters.
Ricky. Ricky Ticky Toppy.
Rascal.
A blank of light.
Reflection.
Odd.
3-letter R word.
Red.
Ray.
Ray.
Oh my god.
Okay, so a ray has a start, like a ray of light would start at the sun and go all the way to us. Or it would start at that light bulb and come all the way and potentially forever. It may not stop. But we'd have a start point and it would go potentially forever. That's a ray. So what would be our third option drawing-wise?
It's just a
The
line.
arrow goes that way. And
No, if the arrow went that way, it would still be a ray. It's just kind of like a backward.
this is just a guess, but one with 2 dots.
Yeah, we'd go 2 dots. It would have a start and it would have a finish. That's what you deal with probably the most. Because even in this room, I wouldn't say our ray of light from the lamp goes forever. It's going to go until it hits
It's dead.
probably the tabletop or a floor or us or some part of our body. Most things have a start and a finish. Very few things go on forever, let alone go on forever in both directions.
Space.
That is an S word.
What? Oh, I thought you said that's
Slide.
just S.
Scene. Section. Segment.
Segment.
Oh. Oh, these are singular.
So again, tomorrow, the stuff I'm circling is what you'd say. So you're going to draw me the drawing after I say the words. 2 days away, you maybe need to work on your spelling,
1, 2, 3, 1.
because now we're in a different color. Okay, so perpendicular is going to be a drawing that involves 2 lines. So if my arms are lines, there's a way I can position them to make them perpendicular. There's also 2 other choices that could be made. So that's pretty good there for perpendicular. So if I want to show perpendicular lines, I could go like this and like that. I could go like this and like that. They don't have to go vertical and horizontal, although those are perpendicular. They could both go diagonal and still be perpendicular. To show that it's perpendicular, I'm going to draw a little square in one of the corners. It doesn't matter which corner you draw the square in, but that's just showing you made a right angle. You made a 90-degree angle. Okay, so if we cross in such a way as to make a 90-degree angle, that's going to be perpendicular. If you live in a town with streets that were laid out recently, your roads are probably all perpendicular. Like the streets all kind of form a grid where every street is a right angle. If you live in an older town or a hilly town, and most of the towns in Pittsburgh, like everything's all crooked because there's like rivers and forests in your way, and there was once upon a time like a cart path that went like this, and now that's how your road goes. But if you go somewhere that's more of a recent city, you know, the roads are all laid out more like a grid to be perpendicular. But if you form a right angle, that's making it perpendicular. So other than perpendicular, another setting,
Oh, I have a question. Is that supposed to be a 4 or is that supposed to be a 1?
that's another one. That's in a group of its own.
Obtuse.
Obtuse is common for other types of angles, but not making our list today.
Pendicular?
Parallel.
Parallel. Parallel's a harder word to spell because you have to remember where the double letter comes, and it's right there. P-A-R-A-L-L-E-L, parallel. Can anybody with their arms show me parallel? Yeah, a bunch of you are correct. So some people showed lines with arms that went that way. Some people put their arms that way. Some people threw their arms diagonally. What matters is that in all of these pictures, which are all correct, those lines are never going to
Intersect.
cross, never going to touch each other. Then there's a third choice.
Fellow is called by nodes, like, it's not a mathematic one right there.
Yeah, they still cross each other, but it doesn't make that perfect right angle. So if we get something like that, where it's not a perfect right angle in any of the spots, we're just going to call those intersecting lines. Our book calls these oblique lines. I'm not going to use that word, okay, but that's a true word. It's a good title, but it's not the title that's used, I don't think, as often. In some ways it's a better title, in some ways it's worse, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to call them intersecting lines because that's a more commonly used word. So if they touch, they're intersecting. If they touch to make a right angle, then they're perpendicular. If they don't touch at all, they're parallel. That's our three choices. Then there's going to be one just stray word that makes this quiz that my board, if it went forever, would be like this. Or if I had a piece of paper
Infinity.
that just never stopped, it would be this.
Infinite.
Beast.
It is a P word, and what I'm going to ask you to say is that it's a flat surface. I'm not going to make you say it's a flat
Plane.
surface that goes on forever, but it is a plane. P-L-A-N-E. P-L-A-N-E spelled like an airplane, but that has nothing to do with airplanes. Not P-L-A-I-N like pizza with
That's
something
what I-
on
that's
it,
the
or,
plane I
or a cheeseburger. You know, that's a different spelling
Plane.
of plane. But P-L-A-N-E, plane, you have to kind of use your imagination. I can't really give you an example of a plane. If my board went forever up, if my board went forever down, if my board went forever across in both directions, that would be truly what a plane is in our mind, but I can't think of one thing that's like that. Okay.
Space.
Farmer's ground. That's the plane I meant. Like farmer's ground.
Oh, yeah, that's
universe.
P-L-A-I-N, but it is to some degree flat. The closest thing I can think of in normal life that I've heard of is people in football will talk about the plane of the goal line. So like if you're a football fan, if the goal line is here and I'm trying to cross that goal line and I reach the ball like this, if any part of that ball crosses that plane, that's a touchdown. And that plane goes like forever. So I could be on the ground with the ball, I could be up top with the ball, I could go this way with the ball, but like that isn't a true plane, because even though that could literally go forever up, it can't go forever down because there's a ground. You can't like dig a tunnel in football like to get into the end zone. Like that plane is going forever, I guess arguably 3 directions, but like going this direction, you actually are gonna run into out of bounds or bleachers or stadium walls, or something's gonna happen that you can't like run out in the parking lot and like score a touchdown out there. Like that's not a thing, but that's semi-close, I guess, to a plane in the sense that that football plane of the goal line is like forever at least up unless you're in a dome.
I don't understand football.
That's okay, it's not important. Not important to everyday life.
Could you say the?
I mean, you are in Western Pennsylvania though, so if you're gonna stay in Western Pennsylvania, people do like their Steelers a good bit,
My
so
mom's a Bills.
to know a little bit of football is not a bad thing.
My mom's a Bills fan.
Oh, so you might have to move.
She
But here's where we're going with this. So tomorrow quiz is the 12 answers I circled, or the 12 answers that you're trying to provide me. So we'll do that tomorrow. If you write down things for your nightly study time, write down quiz. Be ready to provide the 12 circled answers. 2 days away, I'll flaunt that. So what I'm giving you is the circled stuff, and you have to know how to spell these words. Parallel might take some spelling practice. Perpendicular is a pretty long word.
I can spell
The
this.
AGONs, be careful of those. Quadrilateral is kind of a long word. There's no double letters in the quadrilateral, so if you're taking these quizzes and you're like, do any of these have double letters? It's only double letters are the L's in the parallel in the middle. Homework to try to reinforce some of this ideas. There's a 148 A to C that's going to ask you a bunch of questions, I think, about the polygons.
You have homework.
There's a 159, there's an A to I that I think is more related to practicing some stuff with these shapes. And we'll go 1 to 25, let's skip 8. 8 is, again, we've done these lessons out of order, so some of the recent homeworks I've skipped a problem or 2 or 3 depending on the day. Today is a skip number 8. The other thing that happens
Is that
tomorrow, there's
A through I?
A to I, yes.
Okay.
The other thing that happens tomorrow is there's a quiz, so for some of you that like to complain about homework, there's upcoming days where we're not going to have homework. Tomorrow's not one of them though, but here's our week. Tomorrow we'll do, go through the homework, take a quiz on the vocabulary, but also take a quiz on the last week or so, which is prime composite, today's stuff, and a thing we'll learn tomorrow. We're coming up on a test for Friday, so there will be a worksheet tomorrow night due for Thursday. And maybe I'll just give that out now so people can work ahead if you want to. But there will be a worksheet due Thursday, no homework Thursday night because of the test Friday, no weekend homework because of the test Friday. And that's what's going on for our week is
the 1
not
through
so much new
25.
learning.
There's the 1 through 25 on 159.
159 is the main page, yeah. 159, we'll go 1 to 25, but skip 8.
Okay.
We can cut the record, let me grab the worksheet, I'll give it to you.